The morning sun over Maplewood, a quiet little town in North Carolina, always felt gentle, soft enough to make even troubled people feel like life wasn't as heavy as it really was. On most days, the Johnson family tried to believe that. They lived in a small, rented townhouse on Willow Street, a place where the carpets were old and the walls carried memories of former tenants, but it was home. At least, it was all that Emily Johnson could manage after her divorce. Emily was 32, a mother trying to stay strong for her 10-year-old son, Liam. She worked at a small hardware store and sometimes took night shifts at a local motel. Money was tight. The divorce had drained her, not just financially but from the inside too. Her ex-husband, Mark, now lived 2 states away with his new girlfriend. He called once every couple of weeks, mostly out of obligation, not love. Still, Emily tried to make life feel normal for Liam. She packed his lunches, reminded him to grab his inhaler, kissed the top of his head before school. He was a sweet kid, quiet, big-eyed, with a mind full of science facts and dreams of becoming an astronaut one day. But lately, something had changed in him. It started small: tiredness, short breaths, headaches he said were just little ones. Emily assumed it was the stress from switching schools again. She'd already moved them twice in the past year, chasing cheaper rent. She didn't want to be the mother who ran to the hospital for every sneeze, so she told herself not to panic. But a mother's instinct never really sleeps. On Monday morning, Liam walked into the kitchen slowly, dragging his backpack behind him. His face was pale, like he hadn't slept at all. "You okay, baby?" Emily asked as she flipped a pancake. "Yeah," he said softly. "Just tired." "Did you have trouble sleeping?" "A little." He sat at the table and pushed his pancake around like he wasn't hungry. Something about the emptiness in his eyes felt wrong. But Emily swallowed the fear rising in her throat. "Maybe it's just the school play practice," she said, trying to sound casual. "They've been keeping you busy." "Yeah," he whispered. But when she hugged him before he left for school, she felt how warm his forehead was. Not a fever, something deeper, something she couldn't explain. By the end of the week, things got worse. Liam started complaining about pain in his legs. His teacher emailed saying he'd fallen asleep in class twice. One afternoon, she watched him as he climbed into her car slowly, like every step hurt. "You're limping," she said, unable to hide her worry. "Just sore," he murmured. "From what?" "I dunno." His voice trembled, and she felt her heart clench. She took him to a small clinic near home. The nurse barely looked at him. She asked a few quick questions, took his temperature, and told Emily, probably a mild flu. Just keep him hydrated. Emily tried explaining the leg pain, the fatigue, the dizziness. But the nurse smiled politely and repeated, "Lots of kids are sick right now." On the drive home, Emily fought tears. Something wasn't right, and she knew it. But with her tight budget and no health insurance since the divorce, she had nowhere else to go. A week later, things spiraled. It was Friday evening, and Emily was exhausted after a 12-hour shift. She didn't feel like cooking, so she took Liam to their favorite place, Mel's Diner, a cozy old restaurant with retro red booths, a bell on the door, and the smell of fried chicken and cinnamon waffles in the air. The diner felt like comfort, like childhood, like the kind of place where problems paused for a little while. Their usual waitress was working that night, Angela, a warm-hearted black woman in her 40s who had worked at Mel's for nearly 15 years. She had gentle eyes, a quiet strength, and a motherly way of talking to people. Regulars loved her. When Emily and Liam walked in, Angela greeted them. But as soon as she looked at Liam, something changed in her expression. She frowned, not out of annoyance but concern. "Hey, sweetheart," she said, leaning down toward him. "You feeling okay?" Liam smiled weakly. "Just tired." Angela didn't smile back. Instead, she crouched to his eye level. "What kind of tired?" she asked gently. "Sleepy? Sick? Or tired like it hurts to move?" Emily blinked. No one had asked that. Not the teachers, not the nurse at the clinic, not the neighbors, not even Mark during his occasional phone calls. Liam hesitated. "My legs hurt," he whispered. "And sometimes my chest feels funny." Angela's eyes widened. She slowly stood, glancing at Emily. "Has he been like this long?" "Couple weeks," Emily admitted, her voice cracking with guilt. "The clinic said it's a flu." Angela shook her head slowly. "Baby, that's not a flu." Before Emily could speak, Liam swayed on his feet and leaned against his mother. "Mom, I feel dizzy." Emily caught him just in time. Chairs scraped against the floor. A few customers turned to look but went right back to eating, assuming it was nothing serious. But Angela didn't look away. She stepped forward instantly, steadying Liam with careful hands. "Sit him down," she said softly but firmly. "I'll get some water." Emily guided him into the booth, her hands trembling. When Angela returned, she placed the water on the table, but her attention stayed locked on the boy. She touched his wrist and whispered, "He's cold, but he's sweating." "What does that mean?" Emily choked out, panic rising in her voice. Angela pulled in a breath, her voice shaking. "My daughter had the same symptoms at his age." Emily's heart froze. What did she have? Angela swallowed hard, her eyes glistening. "Leukemia." The word fell like a stone in the room. Emily stared at her, unable to breathe. No, he can't. He was just playing soccer 2 months ago." "I know," Angela whispered. "It comes fast. Too fast. And doctors don't always catch it early, especially at small clinics." "I can't take him to a hospital without insurance," Emily murmured helplessly. "They'll keep us waiting for hours. Or send us away. I don't have money for tests." Angela reached over and held Emily's hand tightly. "You listen to me. I'm going to help you." "How?" Emily asked, tears streaming down her cheeks. Angela took her phone out. "My sister works at Mercy Children's Hospital. She's a nurse. A good one. I'm calling her now." Emily broke down. For weeks, she had been dismissed, brushed aside, ignored. Everyone told her it was nothing. Everyone said she was overthinking. Everyone treated her son's symptoms like they were ordinary. But this woman, this waitress who barely made more than minimum wage, saw something in seconds that no one else had bothered to notice. Angela paced as she talked on the phone, her voice urgent. When she returned, she grabbed her coat. "They're waiting for you," she said. "Right now. Go. I'll follow behind." "You don't have to." "I'm coming," Angela insisted. "You shouldn't do this alone." Emily nodded, unable to hold back her sobs. She lifted Liam gently as he leaned against her shoulder, too weak to stand. Angela walked with them all the way to the car, supporting the boy and comforting the mother as if they were her family. "Drive carefully," Angela said. "I'll be right behind you." Emily nodded, gripping the steering wheel tightly. As she pulled out of the parking lot, she glanced at the rearview mirror and saw Angela's old Honda following them. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel alone. She didn't know what awaited them at the hospital. She didn't know if Liam was truly facing something as terrifying as leukemia. But she knew one thing. Someone cared. Someone finally cared. And that small act, one woman paying attention when everyone else ignored, might be the difference between losing her son and saving him. As the highway lights streaked past the windshield, Emily whispered to the sleeping boy in the back seat, "Hold on, baby. We're getting you help." Behind them, Angela kept her eyes fixed on Emily's car, praying under her breath. She had already lost one child to sickness 10 years ago. She wasn't going to let another mother feel that same pain, not if she could stop it. The night grew darker. The road stretched ahead. And a waitress who earned her living serving strangers was now racing to save a boy she had only known from weekend meals. Sometimes family isn't just blood. Sometimes it's the people who show up when it matters most. And tonight, Angela showed up. The bright lights of Mercy Children's Hospital sliced through the night as Emily pulled into the emergency entrance. Her hands shook on the steering wheel, and her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it echo in her ears. She turned to look at Liam in the back seat. He was curled against the door, asleep or unconscious. She couldn't tell anymore. His breathing was shallow, too shallow for any mother to see without feeling terror slip down her spine. Moments later, Angela's old Honda rolled in behind her. She stepped out quickly and came straight to the passenger side, opening the door gently. "I've got him," Angela said softly. "Let's go." They hurried inside. Nurses were already waiting, thanks to Angela's sister. A tall woman in blue scrubs came rushing to them. "Emily?" she asked. "I'm Nurse Camille, Angela's sister. Bring him in." Emily nodded, her voice too tight to answer. Liam stirred as they transferred him to a wheelchair. "It hurts," he whispered weakly. "Mommy, my legs." "I know, baby," she whispered, brushing his hair back. "We're here now. They're going to help you." Angela placed a gentle hand on Emily's back. "He's in the right place now, sweetheart. You did good bringing him." Emily didn't believe her. She felt like she had failed him for weeks. But she followed the nurses through the doors and into a small examination room filled with machines, soft lighting, and a quiet hum of urgency. The doctors moved quickly, checking vitals, asking questions. Emily answered everything through tears. When the symptoms started, what the clinic had said, how he had fallen asleep in class, how pale he had become. While the medical team worked, Emily stood frozen in the corner, squeezing the sleeves of her sweater so tightly her knuckles turned white. Angela stayed by her side. "Take a deep breath," she whispered gently. "I'm here." "I'm scared," Emily whispered. "I know," Angela murmured. "But this is the place where answers come." After an hour of tests, the doctor stepped out. He was a middle-aged man with tired eyes but a kind face. He pulled up a chair and sat across from Emily. "I'm Dr. Harris," he said softly. "We have some early findings, but I want to speak to you carefully about them." Emily nodded, trembling. "It looks like your son may be showing signs of a blood disorder," he explained. "We still need to run more tests, including a bone marrow scan, to be completely certain." "A blood disorder?" Emily whispered. "What kind? Is it cancer?" He didn't answer right away. And sometimes silence is louder than words. "We're not ruling it out," he finally said. Emily covered her mouth with her hands, a sob escaping her. Her whole body shook. Angela reached over and grabbed her hand. "You're not alone," she whispered. "You hear me? You're not alone." The doctor continued, "He needs to stay overnight. We're starting fluids. He's dehydrated and very weak. But he is stable right now." Emily nodded through tears. Can I see him?" "Of course," Dr. Harris said. They went back to the room. Liam was lying on the bed with an IV in his small arm. He looked so fragile, too fragile for a child who just wanted to play soccer, dream about space, and stay up late watching cartoons. Emily sat on the edge of the bed, gently holding his hand. "Mom," he whispered. "I'm right here," she said softly. "Am I in trouble?" Emily's heart shattered into pieces. "No, baby. You're sick, and the doctors are going to help you get better." "Okay," he whispered, closing his eyes again. She stroked his cheek, fighting back the urge to scream from the fear tightening her chest. Angela stepped back, giving them space, but she didn't leave the room. She stood by the wall, watching with a tenderness only mothers understand. Moments later, Camille walked in. "Angie," she said quietly, "you want to help me bring blankets?" Angela nodded and followed her sister into the hallway. Outside the room, Camille glanced at her sister with raised eyebrows. "You really brought them in fast." "I saw him walk in the diner," Angela said, wiping her eyes. "He looked like my baby girl the week before everything changed." Camille's face softened. "I remember. It's like God put them in my path," Angela whispered. "I wasn't gonna let that woman lose her son because nobody paid attention." "And you did the right thing," Camille said. But Angie, this could be serious. I know, Angela replied, voice trembling. And I'm staying right here. Camille nodded. Then let's get them what they need. Back inside, Emily sat beside her son, whispering prayers she hadn't said since she was a teenager. She prayed for strength, for answers, for time she feared she might lose. Angela returned, carrying 2 warm blankets. Here, she said gently, draping one around Emily's shoulders. You look frozen. Thank you, Emily whispered. Angela sat in the chair beside her. Tell me about him. It was such a simple request. But no one had asked her that. No one had taken interest in her son beyond medical charts and symptoms. He's my everything, Emily said, wiping her tears. He loves space. He can name all the planets in order. He wants to be an astronaut one day. He likes blueberry pancakes. He hates wearing socks. He's gentle. He never complains even though he's hurting. Angela smiled tenderly. He sounds like a good boy. He is, Emily whispered, voice breaking. He really is. Angela nodded, her own eyes watering. Kids like that, they're strong. Stronger than adults sometimes. Emily looked at Angela. Why are you doing all this for us? Angela inhaled deeply, as if the memories hurt her from the inside. Because 10 years ago, when my daughter was sick, nobody listened to me. I begged doctors to take her pain seriously. They kept saying she was probably just tired. And by the time they believed me, her voice cracked. It was too late. Emily's heart clenched. I'm so sorry. Angela wiped her tears quietly. I can't get her back. But I can stop another mother from feeling the same pain. If I can help you, if I can help him, then maybe some piece of her still lives on. Emily reached out and held Angela's hand tightly. You're an angel, she whispered. No, Angela said softly. Just a mother. Hours passed. Night became early morning. Tests were done. Doctors walked in and out. Emily's heart beat between hope and fear. Around 4 a.m., Dr. Harris returned. Emily, he said, we have more results. Her stomach twisted. He pulled the curtain around them, lowering his voice. The blood work shows significant irregularities. We're moving toward a diagnosis of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. We caught it early, but his levels are concerning. Emily broke down completely, leaning forward with her head in her hands. Angela wrapped her arms around her immediately. It's not a death sentence, Dr. Harris said gently. Kids often respond well to treatment. But it will be a long path. How long? Emily whispered. A year or more. A year. Her voice trembled. I don't have insurance. I don't have savings. I barely make rent. Dr. Harris paused. You're not the first mother to walk in here with those worries. We have financial programs, social workers, charities. We'll make sure he gets treatment. Will they really help? She whispered. Yes, he said firmly. This hospital doesn't turn children away. Emily sobbed with relief as the doctor left. Angela held her tightly as she cried into her shoulder. It's not the end, Angela whispered. It's the beginning of the fight. Emily pulled back, looking into Angela's teary but determined eyes. What do I do? You show up, Angela said. Every day, every hour. You be his strength when he has none. And when you feel like falling apart, you call me. Emily stared at her. You would do that. For us. Angela nodded. Family isn't just who you're born to. Sometimes it's who steps in when your world starts falling apart. Emily gripped her hands. Thank you. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to, Angela whispered. Just fight for your boy. The next morning, Liam woke up just long enough to ask, Mom, can we still see the stars someday? Emily kissed his forehead. Yes, Baby. You're going to see so many stars. Promise. Promise. Angela stood at the door, watching quietly. She smiled softly, placing a hand over her heart. Something about this little boy reminded her so much of her daughter, her bravery, her innocence, her light. Emily turned to Angela. Stay, please. I need you. Angela nodded gently. I'm not going anywhere. For the first time in weeks, Emily felt something warm inside her chest. Hope. And for the first time since her daughter passed, Angela felt something too. Purpose. 2 mothers. 1 child. And a battle they would face together. The world had ignored the boy's symptoms. But one woman, one waitress with a broken past and a heart full of quiet strength, stepped in. And everything changed. The first week in the hospital felt like a strange new world for Emily. A world filled with machines that beeped through quiet hallways, nurses moving like angels in blue scrubs, and long nights where sleep came in minutes instead of hours. But through every moment, she held Liam's hand and whispered promises that she prayed God would help her keep. Treatment began immediately. The doctors explained that early action could make a big difference. They talked about bone marrow tests, chemotherapy cycles, and long-term treatment plans. The words scared Emily, but she nodded and listened to every detail because this was her son, her only child, her reason to wake up every morning. Angela stayed close the entire time. She visited before her shifts, after her shifts, and sometimes in the middle of the day just to sit quietly in the corner and pray. She brought food, blankets, and sometimes silly little puzzles to distract Liam. One afternoon, as Emily leaned over Liam's bed helping him sip water, Angela stepped inside with a brown paper bag. Thought you two might need something warm, she said with a smile. Chicken soup, homemade. Emily's eyes softened. You didn't have to do that. Angela chuckled. Honey, I know you haven't eaten more than crackers in 2 days. Sit and eat. Emily sat, though exhaustion weighed down her bones. The soup was warm and comforting, and for a moment, she felt like she wasn't drowning anymore. Liam, weak but awake, glanced toward Angela. Miss Angela, you didn't have to come every day. Angela brushed hair from his forehead. Well, I like seeing you, baby. And you need all the love you can get. He smiled faintly. Mom needs love too. Angela turned to Emily. He ain't wrong. Emily swallowed hard. We're getting through it, she said, though her voice trembled. Angela sat beside her. You're doing more than getting through it. You're fighting, even when you feel like you can't breathe. Emily looked at Angela, her eyes filling with tears. I couldn't do this without you. I really couldn't. You don't have to, Angela whispered. We're in this together. For the next week, Liam went through treatments that would drain any adult. His body shook with fatigue. His appetite disappeared. Some days he could barely speak above a whisper. Emily stayed by his side, sleeping in the chair, refusing to leave even when the nurses encouraged breaks. One night, after a long treatment session, Liam looked toward his mother with fear in his eyes. Mom, am I going to die? Emily froze. Baby, no. No, you're not. But, it hurts, he whispered. I'm tired. She brushed tears from her cheeks. I know it hurts. But you're strong. Am I really? You're stronger than anyone I've ever known. He closed his eyes, leaning into her touch. If I get better, can we move to a house with a backyard? So we can see the stars better. Emily pressed her forehead against his. Yes, baby. Yes, we will. You promise. I promise, she said, crying. Angela stood quietly in the doorway. She didn't make a sound, but tears ran down her cheeks. She remembered her daughter asking similar questions, questions she never answered because she feared breaking her heart. But this time, she prayed the ending would be different. The next several days brought a mixture of hope and fear. Liam had good hours where he watched cartoons, smiled faintly, or talked about planets. And he had bad hours where pain made him curl up and cry softly into his pillow. Emily stayed every moment, even when she felt her chest tighten with panic from exhaustion. One night, after Liam finally fell asleep, she slipped into the hallway, leaning against the wall, trying to breathe. Her eyes burned from crying. Her legs trembled. She didn't even notice Angela walking up until she felt arms wrap gently around her. "Let it out," Angela whispered. "Come on, sweetheart. Let it out." Emily sobbed into her shoulder. "I'm so scared. I'm so scared I'm going to lose him." "You're not," Angela whispered. "He's fighting. And he's got this hospital, and he's got you. Sometimes, that's enough." Emily wiped her tears. "I don't understand how you can still be so strong after what happened to your daughter." Angela smiled quietly. "Because I know what it feels like to be completely alone in moments like this. And I won't let you feel that." Emily grabbed her hands. "You saved him. If you hadn't spoken up, he would still be at home getting sicker. You saved his life." Angela brushed the compliment away. "I just paid attention. That's all some kids need." But Emily shook her head. "No. You cared. That's what saved him." Weeks passed. Liam slowly showed signs of strength returning. The doctors said his body was responding well to the early treatment. They explained the full journey would be long, months to a year, but early response was a good sign. One morning, he sat up in bed with more energy than before. Emily walked into the room carrying a small cup of applesauce and gasped, "Baby, you're sitting up." He grinned with weak but real excitement. "Look, Mom." Angela clapped her hands softly. "Look at you. You're stronger than half the folks I know." Liam laughed, a sound Emily hadn't heard in weeks. Her heart lifted so much it felt like it floated. "Can we go outside one day?" he asked. "Absolutely," Emily said. "When the doctor says you're ready." Angela nodded. "And when you do, I'll bring you a picnic. My famous sandwiches." Liam's eyes brightened. "Really? Baby, I don't lie about food," she said with a wink. For the first time since they arrived at the hospital, Emily laughed. A real laugh, the kind she thought she'd forgotten how to make. 2 weeks later, Dr. Harris came into the room with a gentle smile. "I have good news," he said. "His numbers are improving. The early treatment is working better than we expected." Emily gasped, covering her mouth. "Really? He's getting better." "We're moving in the right direction," the doctor said. "It will take time and ongoing treatment, but yes, he's getting better." Emily cried, holding Liam's hand. "Baby, did you hear that? You're fighting your way back." Liam smiled sleepily. "I want pancakes." Everyone laughed. Angela wiped her eyes. "That's a victory request if I ever heard one." The doctor continued, "We'll keep monitoring him closely. But catching this early made a big difference." After he left, Emily turned to Angela, tears falling freely. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for noticing what no one else did." Angela held her hands tenderly. "All I did was see the boy God put in front of me. You're the one who never gave up." "No," Emily insisted. "You saved us." Angela teared up. "Then maybe, this is my daughter's way of telling me she's watching. Maybe helping Liam is her gift to me." Emily hugged her tightly, and for the first time in a long time, Angela didn't feel broken. She felt whole. 3 months later, Liam walked out of Mercy Children's Hospital with a small backpack and a smile on his face. He wasn't fully healed, far from it, but he was stronger, healthier, and ready to continue treatment at home. Emily held his hand as they stepped into the sunlight. Angela walked on his other side, proudly carrying his new stuffed astronaut toy, a gift from the nurses. "Ready to go home, champ?" Angela asked. "Yes," Liam said, looking up at the sky. "It's so bright." Emily smiled. "You're going to see all the stars soon, sweetheart." They got into the car. Liam sat in the back seat, already humming quietly. Emily glanced at Angela. You know, we have a place we want you to see. What do you mean? Emily grinned, a tired but hopeful grin. We're moving. I found a little rental house with a tiny backyard. It's cheap, but it's ours. And Liam wants you to see it first. Angela's eyes widened. Me. Family sees the home first, Emily whispered. Angela covered her mouth as tears fell. She nodded, smiling through them. Then let's go see your stars. As the car pulled away, Liam looked at Angela through the rearview mirror and said, Miss Angela, you're part of our family now, right? Angela placed her hand on her heart. Baby, I've been part of it since the night you walked into that diner. Emily reached for her hand and held it tightly. Sometimes the person who saves you doesn't come in a white coat. Sometimes they come in an apron, holding plates and a tired smile. Sometimes they're the angel you didn't know you were praying for. And sometimes, the world ignores the signs, the symptoms, the cries for help, until the right person pays attention. And that changes everything.